This is What's Wild in New Hampshire. Today is Wednesday, November the 2nd. I'm back up to New Hampshire Audubon's McLean Center, sitting here in the sun this lovely, rather warm afternoon with New Hampshire's Audubon longtime field biologist Chris Martin. We're going to talk about what happened this summer in New Hampshire with the birds that New Hampshire Audubon works with, and how was 2022 to our wonderful feathered friends?
Well, that's a big category you're
Yeah.
tasking me with.
The ones you know about.
The ones I focus on
Yeah.
are birds of prey, the raptors.
Okay.
And we've got several different projects that we run with them. Two really long-standing projects with bald eagles and peregrine falcons. And one project that we've added to the mix in the last 3 or 4 years, which is a careful following of northern harrier breeding success. Something we did back in the 90s and the 80s.
Okay.
But it was all done sort of off the cuff with only our opportunity to look at sites and see how many young they produced.
Okay.
What we're doing differently with harriers this year, in Coos County mostly, is following them from courtship right through.
Okay.
And what we get from doing that is we get information about the causes of failures, or how many pairs try and fail.
Did you do it this summer? Did you start?
No, we've been running. We've had 3 full years of entire breeding season monitoring.
Oh,
so
cool.
2021 and 22.
All right.
And we also did some in 2019, but we started on July 1st, which is the state's fiscal year.
Okay.
So we started midstream then. But
Right.
the last 3 years, we followed pairs from courtship through to fledging.
Okay.
And each of those 3 years has been remarkably different in terms of productivity.
Huh.
Really kind of surprising.
Wow. Any sense what it's driven by?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
We're trying to get an idea of disturbance factors or things that might cause failure from when they fail, among other things. They fail on eggs. Are they failing before eggs? Is there a mowing event? These are ground nesting birds.
Right.
So is there a mowing event?
They're bird of the meadows.
Is there ATV trail that's gotten built right through the property? All kinds of things like that.
How many pairs are we talking?
Not very many. Harriers are one of our scarcest breeding raptors in New Hampshire.
Really?
Yeah. This was a good year, 2022. We found 6 successful pairs, all in Coos County, and they produced a total of 15 young.
Wow, that's a good.
3 and 4 apiece, basically.
Nice.
It was really good.
Right.
Trying to remember 2020. I have my information here. One year we had only 6 pairs were successful with 9 young in 2020. And then 2021, I think we only had 2 sites that were successful that we could document.
That's quite a drastic change. Well,
from
when you get small numbers like that, I guess 2 to 4 makes it's the tap or double. Yeah.
Well, when you have small numbers of pairs like that, your numbers can vary a lot. When you start to have averages of 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, like we have with bald eagles, you don't expect the numbers to wildly fluctuate as much.
Yep.
But weather events and dry summers, and compared to wet summers, means the prey base is totally different sometimes.
Yeah, and because 5 of the last 7 years, New Hampshire's been in a drought.
On the other hand, for a ground nesting bird that likes wetland areas or areas close to wetlands, very heavy rain in the summer could threaten them in other ways. So,
all right.
Anyway.
All right. Harriers.
Well,
what else you got?
Well, what's different about harriers is 95% of our activity seems to be confined to Coos County.
Okay.
And most of it's in Route 2 North.
Wow.
Northern Coos
right
County.
Up. All right. Along the valley.
There are a few scattered harrier sites in our next tier of counties south of the White Mountains.
Okay.
In the Conway area, in the Lime area, in the area around Cops Pond Wildlife Management Area, which is a fish and game managed parcel. Wetland sites. With some upland shrubby buffer, but anyway, those are very scattered and they don't seem to be dependably successful every year. So anyway, so that's the story on Harrier.
Ongoing project.
One more thing I want to say about that, if I can.
Go ahead.
Our next step after 3 full years of field work and gathering information is to convene a group of wildlife managers and biologists from Coos County and outside Coos County, folks that know about field habitat, forest and field habitat, and we're gonna discuss these factors and try to identify steps we could take, management steps. Right now we've just been documenting what the status is, and we want to go to the next step.
See if there can be something that would help.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Well, and how much longer do you expect this project to go on?
It's hard to say. I think we need to continue monitoring for several years.
I mean, most of the projects have gone on for really decades here in
the other
at New
ones
Hampshire Audubon.
that I would talk about that we have ongoing are peregrines and bald eagles.
Right.
Those projects have been going between 35 and 45 years.
A long time. But it takes time to have good results.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will.
Yeah. But this harrier thing is a different sort of critter with less generalist habitat needs, and so it's going to be interesting to see. And I think a lot of the pairs are on private land. They're not nesting on Frankenstein Cliff and Franconia Notch, public lands. A lot of them are on private lands that gets managed for agriculture in one way or the other. So there's a lot of contribution that the private landowners could make to the success or failure of this.
Cool.
So, anyway.
All right. What's next?
What's next?
Chris?
Well, we had a great peregrine season.
Oh, really?
We documented 47 falcon chicks produced this year.
Get out.
Which
that's got to be a big number.
Our previous high was 43, and it's been about 4 years since we got there. And then we sort of had to step down.
47.
47. Wow. And I'm trying to remember how many successful sites that was. I've got that information here somewhere, but I'm not sure.
No rush.
Yeah.
If you think of it, it'll be good. If you don't,
how about a dragonfly in November? That was
there you go.
Something like 24 pairs laid eggs.
Yep. Which has been around that the last couple of years.
That's up there.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we've got a lot of sites now that are on less than traditional cliff habitat.
Right.
We have multiple bridge pairs in the state now, nesting on the undersides of interstate highway bridges, for example. We've got a pair that nests on a big power plant smokestack.
Really?
We had another that nested on a nuclear plant smokestack right across the river in Vermont. But that plant has been taken down now.
All right.
So that pair is homeless, trying to find a new place to nest. So,
wow.
But they're increasingly common, but peregrines have not seen the kind of robust recovery that we've seen with bald eagles.
Right.
And so peregrines are still on our state threatened list.
Okay.
After 40 some years of work.
Yep.
Whereas bald eagles have been off of our state threatened list now for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Because their recovery has been gangbusters.
What are those numbers?
We had 92 territorial pairs of
Get
bald
out.
eagles.
Almost 100 pairs. 100 pairs of territorial
eagles. At the rate
eagles
that we've been going up over the last 5 years, we're going to blast through 100 next year.
Wow.
And this is not counting the pairs that nest on the Vermont side of the Connecticut River. These are the pairs that nest just on the New Hampshire side. So there's some 27 pairs of eagles nesting on the Connecticut River between New Hampshire and Vermont. 27
27. Huh.
And it used to be they were 12, 15 miles apart.
Yeah.
And then a pair would move in 6 miles apart. And then more recently, pairs would move in 3 miles.
Really?
In between. Now we've got pairs within 1.5 miles in some places of each other.
Wow.
Filling up all of the available niches along the river.
Wow.
So that holds for the Connecticut. It's the case on the Merrimack now. And less so on the Androscoggin.
Okay.
But,
all right.
Those big rivers are important as well as our big lakes.
Yeah, well, they've got food. That's where you find the food.
We have multiple large lakes now with multiple pairs of eagles.
Nice.
And I'm not just talking about Winnipesaukee.
Are there any in, say, the southeast part of the state? Any down to
Absolutely.
Rockingham? Oh, you really?
We have right
So
out,
they're scattered across the state then, to some
right.
degree.
The Thomas Layton goes by a pair every time they go out to the Isles of Shoals.
Okay.
Or do the harbor tour.
Yep. Okay.
On an island right near the Wentworth Coolidge
Okay.
Coolidge Mansion.
Yep.
There's pairs in Great Bay. 3 pairs in Great Bay.
Okay.
I'm trying to think down in Hampton, Seabrook as well.
Yep. Wow.
So they are widely scattered throughout the state.
Cool. So, you know, this summer I bet once a week I saw an eagle somewhere. I mean, years and years, you know, you saw an eagle like you had to really go someplace to find an eagle. Now they're coming to us. I mean, I could twice or 3 times this summer, sitting on my deck, I looked up for an eagle going over my house. I didn't have that before. So pretty nice to see
they are
what has
doing
happened.
really good. We've had that population. The question with them, in my mind, is we've had this steadily rising population curve.
Right.
Well, I'm doing it backwards for your camera.
Right.
You know, up this way. For 20 years or more, it's been basically the same slope, the same pace of growth. Every 5 to 6 years, we double the increase in the population.
Wow.
So we went from 20 to 40, from 40 to 80.
Wow.
And it's been very regular. The
Yep.
question is, when are we going to fill the state
Right, with
to
eagles.
capacity?
Right.
And when is that curve going to flatten out?
Right.
It doesn't show much sign of it yet.
Huh.
And
Wow.
so
As long as there's food, they're going to be successful.
I'm not making a prediction here, but if the trend continues, by 2030 we would have 200 pairs of bald eagles.
Wow.
In our tiny little state. I
Yep.
don't think that's going to
I'll
happen.
be looking out my deck and seeing them go by every day.
I don't think it's going to happen, but
Right, right.
that's the
It's
pace
potential.
that we're on
Right.
now.
Yeah,
So,
potential. Wow.
anyway,
All right. So falcons, eagles, harriers. What about our friends the terns? Do you know anything about how the terns fared this summer out at the shoals?
well, I don't, because
I know it's not your project, but
I
in a
don't
sense-
know what the numbers are,
Okay, all right.
because that's a project that's run by the Shoals Lab, and
Yep. Now. Yep.
and I don't know what those numbers are. I know they've had good success, and they still have they have 3 tern species breeding out there,
Okay.
which is wonderful to have.
Yeah.
Um,
Any numbers of, say, roseate and?
I don't have any
yeah,
of those
you don't-
numbers,
okay.
and I wouldn't want to speculate. What I do know is that they've, the last couple of years, been dealing with peregrines that like to hang out on
Oh.
the lighthouse and other perch points. And what we were wondering is whether the Isles of Shoals could have a breeding pair of
Oh.
falcons or not.
Hey, if there's a food source, who knows?
So far, the last couple of years, it looks like these are 1-year-old birds in transitional
Okay.
plumage that
All right.
are likely just
Hanging
unattached
out
to
where there's a
spot.
lot of things that you could maybe eat.
And if they go into Portsmouth, they get chased by the parrot that lives there.
oh,
So
they're on the bridge,
they're
yep.
out on the margins.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
but there certainly are a lot of peregrines that focus on marine environments.
Yep.
So there's a lot.
Ospreys? We didn't talk ospreys
We didn't
yet.
talk about ospreys. They came off our state list in 2008,
Okay.
off of our threatened list
All right.
because of their recovery.
Right.
I've continued to try to track reports of nesting pairs
Yep.
throughout the state, but it's not an even effort throughout
Okay.
the state. Our best information comes from the Lakes region, where my friend Ian McLeod
Oh yeah, he's been at it a
leads
long
the-
time. Yeah.
leads the effort in the Lakes region
yeah.
to continue to document every pair that
Okay.
nests there. That's about 1/5 of the state's total population
Of
of ospreys. Probably, I think you should chat with him. I think we had around 25 or 30 young ospreys
Okay.
this year
Okay.
from that population.
All right.
Statewide, I think we're in the range of around 180 nest sites.
No.
Yeah.
That's a number I haven't ever heard.
Yeah.
So
Well,
wow.
the trouble is we're not visiting every site
Right.
every year.
And you don't
so-
need to.
Right, but they tend to use the same place
Right,
year after year.
right.
But there's a couple of sites we haven't been to in 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
I don't know if they're still
Okay.
there. I assume
well,
they are.
I can't believe there's almost 200 pairs of
Yeah.
nesting ospreys in this year. I mean, it seems like yesterday there was like 4 pairs on Umbagog. It wasn't that long ago.
Do you remember when you could go to Umbagog and look in 4 or 5 different directions
Yes.
and see multiple osprey
Yep.
pairs?
Yep.
That's changed.
Okay.
There are 5 nesting pairs of bald eagles on Umbagog. the ospreys have melted into the swamps.
Ah.
They're no longer nesting on the lake. They fish
Okay,
there, but
yep.
they live back
Best
off the lake.
get out of sight.
So
They've learned to lay low, but numbers are
but
there.
they still have to come there to
All right,
fish.
yeah, they got to eat fish.
Yeah,
You got to
so
fish.
Come get the fishing. Get the heck out.
Yeah, yeah. Don't hang around with the eagles.
Yeah, they usually lose.
Called self-preservation.
Yeah.
Awesome summer then. So the 2022 turned out to be, despite the drought,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. Well, it was. We had a drought.
Yeah. Yeah, especially during the breeding season.
Yes.
Since
yeah,
then, it's
yeah,
changed.
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
but up until July, it definitely was
yeah,
a dry season.
yeah.
But a very good season for our birds of prey in general, and looking forward to new highs on some of them in 2023.
Well, we appreciate the long and hard work by New Hampshire Audubon and others, and tons of volunteers. As we always want to mention that nothing happens without volunteers here in New Hampshire.
Well, and
I'm sure they drive every one of these projects.
Yeah, in a statewide program like this, where you can't be all these places.
180 nests, you can't get to them.
Yeah, you rely on people who know the local area to go out and in 10 minutes get to their spot and have a look at it,
Yeah.
as opposed to someone from Concord going 2.5 hours to
Right,
get there.
right.
So
Nice. Yep. Thank you, volunteers, and thank you, Chris Martin. An awesome year in New Hampshire for our wildlife, and years and decades of dedication by staff of Audubon and New Hampshire Fish and Game, and particularly volunteers, have made it happen. Record numbers of birds here in New Hampshire, and hey, we've got some more successes. Yeah, wait to see what happens.
stay tuned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.